From Daily Trust News Center, this is News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, INEC begins distribution of permanent voters' cards on Monday. Trust TV wins Wole Soyinka Investigative Reporting Award. Senate screens CBN Deputy Governor nominees amidst cash withdrawal limit controversy. And on the international scene, Brazil edged out of World Cup quarterfinal in Qatar. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Now the news in detail. Ahead of the 2023 elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, says voter registration cards are available for collection across the 6 area councils from December 12 to January 22 next year. The FCT resident electoral commissioner, Yahaya Bello, said that officials will work Mondays through Sundays during the period to enable all registrants get their cards, as no cards will be collected by proxy. The report.
Preceding the display and cleaning of preliminary voters register is the collection of the permanent voters card, which the Commission says is being sorted and available at the 6 area councils within the FCT. It equally resolved to devolve PVC's collection to the registration areas and wards from 6th to 15th January 2023.
Collection of PVC in local government and area councils nationwide is fixed for Monday. That includes us in the FCT. We are talking about the states. Collection of PVC in registration area, that is ward level, is Friday 6 January 2023. It will end on Sunday 15th of January. That is at the ward level. So we are going to develop to the ward level. I'm going to give this to members of the press so that they can carry it. The exercise will now revert to local government area council after the 15th of January. It will end on the 22nd of January 2023.
The FCT Independent National Electoral Commission says 272,784 fresh cards are to be distributed, with a total PVCs of 521,790 collected from 2019 through 2022.
195,911, which comprises fresh registration of 90,652, replacement 8,408, transfers, reprint and update 96,851. And up to yesterday, we received another batch of about 76,873. Now, if you add the two together, from last week to this week, we have 272,784 fresh cards that come up, which we're going to start to share by next week.
The FCT, Independent National Electoral Commission, is also working to ensure that the process is simple and hitch-free for residents through display of registers for identification and establishment of helpline desks in an event of unavailable cards. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Independent National Electoral Commission in Borno State says internally displaced persons in resettled super camps in 15 local government areas will not be exempted from voting during the 2023 elections. The commission said that over 128,000 permanent voter cards are yet to be collected by registered voters. It said registered voters in the state have risen from 2.3 million to 2.5 million. The state resident INEC Commissioner Mohammed Magaji Ibrahim said its offices are open next week for collection of PVCs by owners.
You may wish to note that Borno has been home of IDP voting over the years, occasioned by insurgency. In 2019, apart from Abadan and Kukawa, all local governments who have insecurity issues voted in their respective LGAs headquarters. MMC, Jere, Biu, Howell, Bayo, Shani, and Koyakusar did normal voting up to polling units level. As Kirauba has its majority RS who voted up to the polling unit level.
Moving to politics, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council has condemned the violent attacks on party members in different parts of the country. Spokesman of the party's campaign council, Yunusa Tanko, addressed a press conference in Abuja. Noel Sampson has more of the details.
Tanko told journalists that one Florence Ibrahim, the party women leader in Kebbi State, had a food vendor business burnt down on the 26th of November 2022 due to a compromising position for the party.
On December 23rd, 2023, there's a newspaper report titled "Many Injured" as hoodlums attack Labour Party rally in Lagos. The incident caused pandemonium in the areas as people were seen coming for safety and running for their dear lives. Several people were reportedly injured with hoodlums alleged to be sponsored by the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC. These attacks were labeled on the Labour Party rally in Lakowe town area of Lekki, Lagos State. Also on 27 September 2022, there was a report in the media that gunmen attacked Enugu Labour Party meeting. Gunmen suspected to be political thugs have again disturbed meetings of Labour Party in Enugu.
The spokesman also said that the speech of APC presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu in a London restaurant suggesting power grab is capable of propelling massive violence in the 2023 general elections.
But we will use this opportunity to make a warning that our people will not stand low while we continue to be killed. We will stand in defense of ourselves and our party. But that, of course, we will do within the provision of law and order. So it is a caution that we are saying that while we tell our people to defend themselves, to protect their integrity and our party and our presidential candidate, it is very important that the security agencies take their step ahead so that we will not have a very serious chaos ahead of 2023. This is the position of a presidential campaign council. We are cautioning and we hope that those who are ready to put Nigerians in a serious situation should think twice.
Therefore demanded that security agencies probe the incidents of attacks on party members and ensure that the culprits are brought to justice to serve as a deterrent to others. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Thank you, Noel, for that report. Moving on, Trust TV's Abdulaziz has won the television category of the 17th Wole Soyinka Award for Investigative Reporting. His documentary, Banditry, The Inside Story, beat 20 other finalists to emerge winner in Lagos. Another Trust TV documentary on maternal race in Nigeria, anchored by Zainab Bala, comes third with commendation from the organizers. Abdulaziz took risks to traverse dreaded bandit-controlled areas across the northwest to present untold stories of banditry in Nigeria. Here's the report.
Abdulaziz is a multiple award-winning journalist who won the Wole Soyinka Award for Investigative Journalist of the Year, as well as Investigative Reporter of the Year Online Award in 2018 for exposing the National Youth Service Corps Scheme Exemption Certificate forgery of Kemi Adeosun, former Minister of Finance. His documentary highlights the devastating impact of the ravaging banditry on the people in the rural areas and how authorities failed to address the security challenges in the country. Over 200 nominations were received for the award and 20 made the final list, with 2 documentaries from Trust making the first and third positions.
The 2018 winner of the print category and the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism Nigerian Investigative Journalist of the Year, Abdulaziz, is hereby recognized as the winner in the 2022 category.
Abdulaziz speaks on his motivation for the documentary on banditry ravaging residents of mostly rural dwellers in the northwest.
really exciting. It's really exciting and very rewarding, especially because of the labor, the effort, and the risks one has taken to undergo to do this story. And I feel really happy. And I think this is a wake-up call, not only to me, but also to all my colleagues. And I think it's a big congratulations to all my, all the people who also helped or supported this story, CDD, Trust TV, and all that.
Well, I'm super excited. I'm super excited right now because it's really an honor to actually be commended for my work, because I know what I went through to actually do that piece. And so awards like this are very important because it tells you as a journalist that what you're doing is important, and it also helps journalists to get to do more for their communities.
Trust TV has since its debut on the Nigerian broadcasting scene in 2021 been producing series of documentaries about contemporary national issues.
Well, kudos to Trust Television on that one. Away from that story, the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions has screened the two reappointed deputy governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Aisha Ahmed and Edward Adamu. During the exercise, the committee asked the nominees to explain the significance of the new directive, which restricts over-the-counter cash withdrawal by an individual and organization to 100,000 naira and 50,000 naira respectively per week. The report.
There has been an uproar from the public ever since the Apex Bank announced its cash withdrawal limits in the course of the week. Chairman of the screening committee, Senator Obasani, was forced to speak, querying the rationale behind the new policy, which limits the withdrawal to such a level which many consider unrealistic.
This committee will deeply appreciate it if the two nominees can shed more light on the cashless policy of the CBN in the light of the controversy that it has trailed the new policy on cash withdrawal limits.
Members of the Senate committee, however, are impressed by the individual competence of the nominees.
The only issue we have was the cashless society, and she has explained it. And in my opinion, we will continue. The committee will continue to be engaging them. It's not a one-day something. We'll be having continuous meeting, and the reaction from Nigerians, the committee will continue to engage in the central bank on regular basis.
The recommendation that was made on her was excellent, and that was why Mr. President decided to renominate her. We are very proud of her, and we believe that this country has tapped so much from the experiences she has had in the banking industry.
The nominee for the post of the Deputy Governor of Financial System Stability, Aisha Ahmed, is urging the Nigerian public to embrace the cashless policy in line with global best practices. She recalls that the policy was initiated in 2012 with Lagos State as pilot scheme. It was also implemented in 2013 in Abuja and 6 other states.
To the withdrawal limits, like you mentioned, I think that based on the information available to the Central Bank of Nigeria, based on the data on the transactions that Nigerians are conducting, we think that the time is ripe for us to extend the cashless policy.
One person who is not comfortable with the new cash withdrawal limit, despite explanations, is the senator representing Bayelsa West, Seriake Dixon.
To make my views known for posterity, that I feel that more caution should be exercised by the regulators of our economy, precisely the central bank and the other institutions. They should not hurry into the implementation of this policy. I think more consultation, more examination as to our preparedness. And I thought that now that we had them, we should have interrogated further.
The lawmakers, however, expected to hold a debate next Tuesday on whether or not to adopt a new policy.
Moving on to security, police in Gombe State Command have confirmed the killing of 3 people in Beleri local government area of the state after a suspected bandits attack on 2 villages. The attackers who stormed Amtawalam and Pobowure midnight Wednesday also burned 26 houses and injured about 3 persons. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Residents of Amtawalam and Pabaure are counting losses after the sad incident that left many homeless. Even farm produce harvested by the victims were set ablaze.
Na rasa abubuwa da dama. Yadda kuna ganin abubuwan nan da ke shanye a kasa. Akwai buhunan shinkafa wanda na rasa.
I lost a lot of things, as you can see. 12 bags of rice, 4 bags of groundnut, 4 bags of beans, and 3 bags of sorghum.
Ga wake wanda ya kai buhuna 4. Ga gidaje da dawa tukuna ba buga shi ba. Da kuna iya ganin sa a yadda yake. When
the incident happened around 1 p.m., we had gunshots at Pabaure. We were asked to run.
Misalin karfe 1 ne muka je karan bindiga da wuta a Pabaure. Mu kuma muna so sai aka ba mu shawara mata su fita.
Kamar masara zai kai adadin buhu 10, shinkafa zai kai adadin buhu.
I lost 10 bags of maize, 8 bags of rice, 7 bags of groundnut, and 5 bags of beans. It happens on Wednesday at 2 a.m.
Ranar Laraba da misalin karfe 2 na dare.
Although details are sketchy on who are behind the attacks, the police said it was launched by a group of bandits.
Well, we cannot really say what happened, but some group of bandits laid siege on the village and attacked some selected residents, targeting their economic life because they came specifically to destroy their farm produce and they did not steal anything.
Gombe State government has sympathized with the victims, vowing to take decisive action against any further breakdown of law and order.
It's really very disheartening because of the peaceful nature of our place and the way we have been living. But it seems there is a spiral effect of the activities of these bandits in Bauchi and Plateau State that is coming to, our state of Gombe. And we came with all the security agencies, plus the local government administration, the chairperson and the councillors and the district head, and all the community leaders. We've seen for ourselves and we've taken steps. I've directed the setting up of a police outpost with relevant number of policemen and other security agencies to come and enforce security, law and order in this place.
The latest attack on Amtawalam and Pabaure in Billiri local government of Gombe State called for concern to strengthen security architecture in the area as the 2023 elections approach. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
The trial of suspects of the Offa robbery incident have resumed, with one of the suspects alleging that he was tortured to implicate the former Senate President Bukola Saraki in the robbery incident. At the resumed trial of the April 5th, 2018 Offa bank robbery incident in Kwara State, a witness, Shamsuddin Bada, told the State High Court how men of the Intelligence Response Team of the Inspector General of Police, led by DCP Abbakari, allegedly tortured him to implicate former Senate President Bukola Saraki in the robbery incident. The witness, who is a former vice chairman of Irekbodun local government area of the state, narrated in court that the IRT operatives said that they were taking instructions directly from the IGP. He also said that the IRT operatives promised him while in detention that he would be freed if he named Saraki as the robbery sponsor. The prosecuting counsel later sought an adjournment to obtain a document that he said was not brought to the court, and the case was subsequently adjourned to January 16, 17, and 18, 2023 for continuation of cross-examination by the prosecution and trial. The body of benchers in Nigeria has frowned at the use of social media by the Nigerian Bar Association to circulate sensitive documents of in-house communication among members of the body. The body, in a statement on Friday, cleared the air on why the letter by the NBA president, Yakubu Maikyau, SAN, requesting the BOB chairman, Chief Wole Olanikbekun, SAN, not to preside over the last call to bar ceremonies, during which 4,711 new lawyers were admitted into the profession, was not debated. It said the letter was not debated at the body's December 5th meeting, meant to finalize arrangements for the call to bar ceremonies because it was delivered late at the BOB headquarters in Abuja. It added that members did not consider the issue when Michael raised it because they were not in receipt of the letter, and the chairman, to whom it was directed to, was not allowed to respond to the letter before the NBA president brought it up. In the statement issued by BOB's secretary, Daniel Teller, it was stated that apart from the fact that the NBA's letter was addressed personally to its chairman, it was not an item on the agenda of the meeting, which had been scheduled since November 14th. A Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has reserved judgment in the appeal challenging the nullification of the All Progressives Congress Nasarawa West senatorial primary by the Federal High Court, Lafia. The Federal High Court, Lafia, had last month nullified the APC primary that produced Shehu Tukur as candidate and ordered for the conduct of a fresh election within 14 days from the day of the judgment after listening to arguments from counsels representing the various parties. Umar Mohammed files in this report.
An aspirant for the seat, Labaran Magaji, had dragged the party and the candidate, architect Shehu Tukur, to court alleging irregularities during the primary. The court agreed with him and nullified the election. Dissatisfied with the court's judgment that nullified his election, APC approached the Court of Appeal in Abuja. Counsel for the appellant, Damian Dodus, SAN, explained that the party has filed all that was required before the Court of Appeal and believe that it would deliver justice.
You know that the Federal High Court, sitting in Lafia, gave a judgment nullifying the primaries conducted by the APC in Nasarawa West Senatorial District. It nullified the primaries and ordered that a fresh primary be conducted within 14 days.
Counsel to the respondent, Gali Ahmed, expressed optimism that they would still get justice at the appeal court.
We adopt all our briefs, all the briefs we file. You know, there are two appeals. One is the one filed by the party itself, the All Progressives Congress. And the second one, which is filed by Architect Shehu Tukur. All appeals were heard today.
A general overview of what actually happened is that, as you can see, for those of us who have witnessed the proceedings, all the appellants are trying to get what they were not able to get at the trial court in the Court of Appeal, which is typically belated.
Lawyer plus Labaran Magaji, Justice Mohammed Danjuma, reserved dates for the judgment in the matter.
Popular musician Daniel Oladapo, also known as The Banj, has regained his freedom. His release comes 72 hours after being detained by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission over the allegations of fraud associated with the N-Power program. In a statement on Friday, The Banj's lawyer, Bailumi Olajengbesi, said the self-acclaimed Cocoa Master was released on self-recognition. Olajengbesi noted that the singer cooperated with the commission during its investigation. The Niger State Commander of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has intercepted 2 trucks loaded with railway slippers in Paikoro and Boso local government areas of the state, worth millions of naira. The command's public relations officer, Nasser Abdullahi, said the driver of the first truck, Ahmed Lawang, from Jos North local government area of Plateau State, during interrogations, said the suspected vandals agreed to pay him 1,150,000 naira to transport the items to Ilorin, Kwara State. He said the driver also told the Corps that the sum of 100,000 naira was given to him, but later was collected to settle the locals who barricaded the road, demanding to be settled before they could allow the truck out of their community. Abdullahi said the second truck was intercepted along Garatu village in Boso local government area of Niger State. He said the driver abandoned the vehicle and fled when he sighted the anti-vandal team of the command.
In his statement, he said he was offered to be paid the sum of 1,150,000
150,000 naira to transport the item to Ilorin, Kwara State, which he agreed. The sum of 100,000 naira initially deposited was given to Go, which was later collected to settle the locals who barricaded the road before they could allow the truck access out of the community. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, as major stakeholder in protecting the critical national asset and infrastructure in the country, will not relent in the fight against vandalism and will continue to keep 24-hour surveillance in all government facilities in the state.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Price of Irish potatoes beyond reach of some Jos residents. Do stay with us.
Residents of the Federal Capital Territory are hereby alerted to the activities of scavengers, also known as Babambula, which security agencies have identified as a high-level security threat to not only the residents but also to our infrastructure as they perpetrate petty stealing and acts of vandalism on public utilities. More so, they are drug peddlers, serve as spies to terrorist elements, and are ready-made tools for the public disturbances during which they attack people with dangerous weapons. The Federal Capital Territory Administration therefore reiterates that the ban on scavengers aka Babambula operating within the Federal Capital City is still in force. These miscreants are advised to stay off the streets of the Federal Capital City for their own good, as defaulters will be apprehended and prosecuted, including parents of underage children involved in these practices. Relevant agencies are carrying out enforcement of this ban as stipulated. Be law-abiding always. Let's together build the FCT of our dreams. Management announcer.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Here's a recap of our top stories. We told you that INEC set to begin PVC cards distribution ahead of the 2023 elections. We also told you that Trust television documentary on banditry wins Wole Soyinka Awards for investigative reporting. Moving to other news, public debates have continued over accountability for federal allocations meant for local government areas across the country. This comes after President Muhammadu Buhari accused governors of misappropriating funds allocated to local government areas in their states. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail speaks to residents of Gombe local government area on what should be done to ensure accountability of funds meant for local government areas. The report.
President Muhammadu Buhari has accused Nigerian governors of diverting funds meant for local government areas. There are 774 local government councils across Nigeria. We are right now at the entrance of the Gombe Local Government Secretariat. We'll speak to Nigerians on what they feel about this development and what should be done to ensure that funds budgeted for local government areas is given to them.
I am calling Buhari to investigate thoroughly because we know our governors are corrupt, most of them. So it's better for him to set another committee to investigate how they have diverted the fund. It's not good to call the names of the governors, but I'm advising to do it behind closed door so that they can get sanity.
Do you think providing it up is the best?
It's the best. Because it's not good to call their names. It's not good to call their names. But he has to call them personally. And later on, probably if they fail to do it, then we masses, we need to see their names in national dailies.
And it's not a new thing actually, because it's been something that has been happening for ages in Nigeria. Well, it's sad and it's saddening to know that funds that meant for local governments are being diverted by the state governors, which is very wrong. In the first place, I feel local governments should have full autonomy. For every fund that is being allocated to them from the federal government, they should have full autonomy of use of their funds. So that's what I feel actually. It is better for the people to think twice before they elect the governors, especially in the 2023 general election, because the president cannot accuse the governor without any fact, since majority of the governors are in the same party with the president. So I think it is not the allegation, but it is a fact.
The hope of Nigerians is to have a strong government at the grassroots level that will cater for their needs. But this is not going to be possible except if funds budgeted for local councils across the country are being given to them. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Residents of Jos, the Plateau state capital, say the current economic reality in the country is taking a toll on them, forcing a change of eating pattern. The residents also say they are worried that prices of commodities keep rising, noting that if the situation continues, people will find it difficult to survive. Ado Musa completes the report.
The rise in the prices of the commodities is not only affecting the consumers, but the sellers of the goods and service providers in Jos. The residents say the high cost of living occasioned by inflation is making life difficult. Hajia Sabua, a seller of Irish potato in Jos, said this year the potato is costly and scarce. She said only few people who are buoyant can afford to buy Irish potato in the market, as a bag is sold at 50,000 naira. attributing the low patronage to the high cost of the product in the market.
You see, this year there was low yield in the potato cultivation. As a result of that, the potato was not much this year. This has also contributed to the high cost. It is not everyone that can afford and such. Only few people come for the potato, and it affected the house and our income.
Some residents express how the cost of living affect their pattern of eating habit.
Honestly, it is not easy for me to buy Irish potato because it is too expensive. This is something that was recently sold between 20,000 naira to 25,000 naira, but it is now sold between the rate of 45 to 50,000 naira. I can't buy Irish potato for now. We are looking for cheaper food like sweet potato, which is sold at 6,000 naira per bag to sustain our lives. We are not after delicious food now.
I came to inquire for the price of a bag of the potato, but what they told me is different from what I am expecting. They say a bag is between 45,000 and 50,000 naira. I can't afford it. I have to go back home and tell them.
The cost of living in these countries has changed everything. Sometimes before these changes, in the morning, you can eat tea with bread. You can even, in the evening, sometimes you can even buy a meat and whatsoever. But now, in the morning, you can even eat a food popularly called garo garo. In the morning, you can eat it, and no tea, no even milk. So sometimes you can even use Lipton.
As the prices of goods and services continue to affect the eating habit of hundreds, many are calling on the government at all levels to re-strategize economic policy that will help to cushion the effect of rising inflation in the country. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. Corruption erodes trust, weakens democracy, hampers economic development, and further exacerbates inequality, poverty, social division, and the environmental crisis. This is why stakeholders are sensitizing the youths as the world marks International Anti-Corruption Day. Noel Sampson has details.
Young people not only present the future of the country, they are one of the society's main agents of change and progress. Hence, the need for them to be sensitized against corruption.
In FCT, we are actually doing wonderfully well when it comes to that. And we want to ensure that these standards are maintained so that people or the youths who are the young ones, these young adults and the leaders of tomorrow, who are all actually are supposed to be the leaders of today. Because tomorrow we have always had, they have always told us leaders of tomorrow. We should ensure that this culture is imbibed in them, and then...
It is not just about passing the laws. We have sufficient law, if you ask me, in this country, but sometimes it's about the implementation, and that is also where we come in. We advocate that the right thing be done, that the laws that we have be implemented sufficiently so that we can fight corruption.
These youths are already aware of the erosion of values by the get-rich syndrome, which is blurring the lines between proper and improper behavior.
We at the scratch are supposed to start doing things right. We are supposed to do things right in the sense that little things in our societies, we are to improve them. When you see things that are not right, you do it. Like throwing dirt on the road is also corruption.
I've learned so much. I've learned that in order to fight corruption, we have to start from the little ones among us. Families have to teach their young, and from there, the teachers too have a part to play by teaching their students, and we go from there to teach the world at large. So these programs like these are programs that I encourage us to have, even with our friends, to talk to them against fighting against corruption.
Corruption is a cancer that eats away at citizens' faith in democracy, that diminishes the instinct of innovation and creativity, and needs to be addressed urgently. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Construction of the 54-kilometer Ngalda-Mutai Road project at Ngalda town of Fika local government area of Yobe State has been flagged off. Governor Mai Mala Buni, while flagging off the project, recalled that Gujba Mutai is being executed through the multi-sectoral crisis recovery projects. Northeast Development Commission is undertaking the project to open up the rich agriculturally endowed communities and facilitate easy movement of people, goods and services to stimulate more agricultural, commercial and economic activities in the benefiting communities. Buni appreciated the Commission for the construction of the 500 mass housing units across the state, distribution of relief materials to victims of insurgency and disasters, training on smartphone repairs and computer graphics design, and the distribution of starter packs and startup capital to over 330 youths, among others. The Managing Director of NEDC, Muhammad Al-Ali, said the project is one of the interventions that the Commission is executing as part of its mandate towards recovery, reconstruction, stabilization, expansion, renewal, and sustainable development in the Northeast region.
The Commission and all the diverse partners and stakeholders in the North Sea region have realized the critical importance of road infrastructure. Therefore, commensurate attention was accorded the transport sector in the Northeast Stabilization Development Plan. It will recall that the construction of the 40-kilometer road from Gujuba to Mutai along the Gujuba-Ngalda road started earlier and is currently going on. Recently, the Federal Council approved the construction of the remaining 54 kilometers of the road by the Commission at the cost of about 12.2 billion naira. We are gathered here today to flag up this project, which is critical for improvement of security, livelihood, connectivity, and commercial activities, including transborder trade here in Yobe State.
The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Pantami, has charged institutions of higher learning in Nigeria to focus on research that will lead to new innovations. The minister gave the charge while delivering the first annual lecture of Africa's Center of Excellence at Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, in Osun State. Ibrahim Pantami noted that leading economies in the world have shifted from natural resources to digital innovation and that Nigeria and Africa must not lag in the global trend. The minister appealed to relevant agencies and authorities of universities and other tertiary institutions across the country to ensure that both undergraduate and postgraduate students conduct quality research that can make positive impact in the lives of thousands of people rather than just a mere condition to graduate.
20 years ago, the most valuable companies' positions were dominated by the natural resources companies. But today, even if you are blessed with natural resources, you should immediately extract and harness on it and build the knowledge-based economy. Because the future depends on the knowledge-based economy, not on the natural resources anymore. It is because of this I am glad with the innovative ideas of this very important University Obafemi Awolowo here in Ile-Ife, Osun State. I have been following the innovations coming out from either the Faculty of Technology or the African Center of Excellence. The output is highly commendable.
This is Trust News Hour. We'll be back after the break.
documenting the Nigerian story.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secured are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Or really, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back. Let's now join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news.
The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, says the Bankers Committee could no longer delay in resolving the structural issues inhibiting non-oil export receipts. Emefiele, who is also the chairman of the Bankers Committee, said this at the opening of the 13th Annual Bankers Committee retreat on Friday in Lagos. Notes that the two-day event will provide stakeholders the opportunity to review the progress and implementation of the RT 200. The CBN governor said the RT 200 initiative, which was designed to stimulate non-oil exports with a $200 billion foreign exchange income target in 3 to 5 years, had been widely accepted and driven by the institutions that constitute the Bankers Committee. Emefiele also urged the committee to play productive parts to engender the necessary infrastructure and services that are critical to boost non-oil exports. The World Trade Organization ruled on Friday that U.S. tariffs imposed on steel and aluminum imports by former President Donald Trump contravened global trading rules, and a judgment immediately criticized by Washington. In one of the most high-profile and potentially explosive cases to come to the WTO, the three-person adjudicating panel said the U.S. measures were inconsistent with the WTO rules and recommended the United States bring them into conformity. However, the United States said it strongly rejected the flawed interpretation and conclusions of the panel. Trump imposed 25% tariffs on steel imports and 10% on aluminum in 2018 using Sections 232 of a 1962 Act that allows the president to restrict imports if they are threatening national security. Free trade partners Canada and Mexico were later exempted.
Thank you, Chiamaka, for that. Now, a Muslim group, Ta'awunu Human Rights Initiative, has debunked the insinuation that a Turkish national, Arslan Mazin, who visited Osun State on Tuesday, December 6, 2022, is a Taliban terrorist. Accompanied by the Grand Mufti of Yoruba land, Dawood Imran Molasan, the Turkish national visited the Oluwa of Iwo, Oba Abdul Rashid Akombi, in his palace. The Director General of Ta'awunu Human Rights Initiative, Suleiman Tades, faulted Yoruba nation agitators for describing Mazin as a Taliban terrorist. Tadese cautioned the Yoruba nation agitators to desist from spreading falsehood among Nigerians. He said Mazin got permission and approval of authorities for the visit to Iwo, and that the Turkish embassy in Nigeria approved Mazin's visit. Tadese threatened to press charges against those who originated the false information if they fail to apologize within 7 days.
Well, because it's one of the famous places in Nigeria. So my first intent was to explore Nigeria, and this is one of the places. So I'm looking forward to learning more about it.
Well, definitely designation as a UNESCO World Heritage Site makes one want to come and see. And the fact that it has been a little bit difficult to travel to Nigeria, but now it's opening up, becoming more secure, better place to come and visit.
It's just such an amazing country and culture. The people are so friendly, and the colours, see, I have an African dress on, the colours are beautiful, and everything here, it's not what you see in the news. It's completely different, and we want to see real life Nigeria, not all the propaganda in the news. This is like real life, and it's beautiful, the people are amazing, and that's why we want to visit.
To foreign tourists, to come and see what we have, to come and experience our culture, our food, our arts. And as you know, this grove is one of the 2 inscribed UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Nigeria. And so we find it necessary to bring them here as one of the best assets, tourism assets we have in Nigeria.
On the foreign scene, the European Union has imposed sanctions on a Belgian gold trader, rebel chiefs, Congolese army and political figures for fueling fighting and human rights abuses in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The EU added 8 people to its list of sanctions over violence in the conflict-racked eastern region. It also extended existing sanctions against 9 others. The 17 people are now subject to EU restrictive measures until December 2023, which consist of a travel ban and an assets freeze. The EU sanctions come after the United States in March sanctioned Goetz and his Ugandan-based African gold refinery for the illicit movement of gold valued at hundreds of millions of dollars per year. A Brazilian vessel carrying more than 4.6 tons of cocaine valued over $157.4 million has been intercepted in an operation off the coast of Sierra Leone. The vessel was intercepted by a French Navy helicopter carrier roughly 400 miles off the coast of Sierra Leone, according to Europol. The NCA, U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency, and Brazilian Federal Police collaborated to uncover and battle criminal networks involved in cocaine trafficking between Brazil, Africa, and Europe. This collaboration resulted in the operation. According to Europol, the 21-meter-long Brazilian ship where the drugs were found was sailing towards Europe when it was intercepted. Moving on to sports, Raheem Sterling was back in training for England on Friday after returning to Qatar ahead of Saturday's World Cup quarter-final with France. Sterling did not feature in the round of 16 match against Senegal after returning to England following a robbery at his home. Despite his return to camp, Sterling is unlikely to feature in Gareth Southgate's starting lineup on Saturday, but he does give the manager an additional attacking option from the bench. England featured Phil Foden and Bukayo Saka on the flanks, with Harry Kane in his usual centre-forward role against Senegal. British media reports had said that Sterling's home was broken into by armed intruders while his family were in the property. However, Surrey police later said that no one was at home at the time of the burglary and no threats of violence were involved. Let's now join Adeni Ajishafe for more sports news.
...2022 World Cup tournament favourites Brazil were knocked out of the World Cup on penalties at Education City Stadium, Doha, Qatar, as Croatia worked hard to edge through to the semi-finals. Croatia, finalists 4 years ago, scored all 4 of their penalties. Rodrigo took Brazil's first kick caught by brilliant Croatia goalie Dominik Livakovic as Marquinhos' crucial fourth effort struck the post. Croatia's players sprinted to celebrate with their goalkeeper as the ball hit the foot of the woodwork and bounced away, while Brazil's team hit the turf as their dream of a 6th crown came to an end. After a tough 90 minutes, Tete's men thought they have won in the extra time when Neymar scored a thumping effort to equal Brazil's official men's goal-scoring record of Pelé. Substitute Bruno Petkovic, 116-minute stroke, equalized for Croatia's first shot on target in the match to take the game to penalty shootout. Brazil exceeded at the same stage in Qatar at the quarterfinals of South Africa 2010. Brazil crumbled when it mattered most as Dominik Livakovic turned hero after their World Cup quarterfinal leveled at 1-1. The European side emerged victorious once more, having done so against Japan in the last 16, to set up a semi-final meeting with the Netherlands or Argentina on Tuesday. That's Sport News. I am Adeniyi Ajisafe.
And with that, we've come to the end of Trust News Hour. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.